Going back to Hanson, there was some issues with the exits and entrances in there as well. There was only one entrance point as far as what I could tell, right? I mean, especially when I did my tour.
Yeah, so why don't we talk about the Veterans Way subdivision? So that would be from Veterans Way over to Hanson and in behind the newer Shoppers Drug Mart on the west end of town on Broadway, that Lafferty, that subdivision. To me, that subdivision has been ignored is too strong of a word, but they're certainly cut off from town. They don't have bus service. They're a long ways away from getting bus service right now. They only have one way in and out of that subdivision. There needs to be a bridge built. There's a small river that goes through at the end of Hanson, and that bridge is taking a long time. I think you're going to soon have people living there in that area for 10 years and only having one way in and out of that community. And I think that's a travesty. And now we've had developers come to council recently and they want to put more development in that area.
Yeah,
It's fine. We're going to have issues with development no matter what we do. There is areas in that part of town that has room for more housing, and that housing is probably going to be townhouse housing, which is fine. The problem to me is let's open up the road before we put more people in there. There's only one way in and out, and if you think about the town, you'd have to go all the way out onto Veterans Way, down to Broadway, and then in. Whereas if you could go the other way, turn right and just go across the river where the bridge is supposed to be, and you end up on Hanson, and you're 2 seconds from downtown. Who wouldn't want that? And
yeah.
those are nice homes in that area. They're expensive homes, and I think the residents deserve better from us. As a town, we need to do things for them, and when they have asked for things, my take would be is we haven't followed through. We haven't done what we've needed to do in terms of helping that neighborhood. So one would be there's a group in there right now that wants certain areas of fields cut by lawnmowers. They're allowed to these fields are allowed to grow in its natural state, and in that natural state there is prickly bushes and that sort of thing. So kids end up going into that area and having issues with their health and allergies and getting cut or poked, and the neighborhood doesn't find them to be lovely bushes. They find them to be an eyesore. It's not looked after. And to this point, soon it'll come to council. I think it comes to council at the beginning of July about whether or not we will go forward with cutting or not. And there is an expense to cutting. There's a cost to doing it, extra time, that sort of thing. But the reality is there's one more obligation for a neighborhood that I think we should be doing. I think we should be looking after them, and it's a small ask. So, they're cut off. They've asked for some things. We haven't necessarily followed through. And I'd like to see us look after that neighborhood.
That makes sense. I mean, that if they're there and they don't consider it a good thing, then it would be great to get that taken care of, especially with all the other issues that they're dealing with. So, I mean, at the very least, have at least a little bit of a show of a good faith. So,
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to walk to a restaurant, how do you get there? And you talk about the walkability index of a neighborhood, theirs would be extremely low. Well, you're going to walk down Veterans Way and up and around. You're going to cut through the woods and jump over a stream to get to where you want to go. It's difficult. And there's no stores in that area right now. Anyway, we owe it to them to make that neighborhood better than it is. It's already quite nice, but we have an obligation to make it better than it is.
it seems like it's been positioned that this bridge would be contingent on development in this area.
The way it was set up at the time is the developer is responsible for putting that forward, and certainly the town could start on putting the bridge through. The reality is the plan hasn't been fully the plan for the neighborhood hasn't been fully approved. So you could put a bridge through, and if the bridge went through right at you, Josh, yet the road ended up over here, I think people would all be questioning why we put a bridge that's not even at a road. And so that's one of the big holdups, right? And the sewers would go in on the road in that area. So you need a road plan, and then you can have a bridge plan, and then the bridge gets built. So I'd like to see that done lickety split. But people have been screaming at this for quite some time now, and although there has been progress made, the bridge still isn't built.
That makes a lot of sense.
In fairness, if you looked at the budget, it's in the budget. The money's there. We just need to get it implemented.